file this under strange but true. 3 FBI agents are now being fired because one gave a Three Stooges-style noogie to a federal prosecutor. Now, as ridiculous as that case sounds, workplace bullying is no laughing matter. It's growing at such an alarming rate that lawmakers are getting involved, and researchers say that the emotional toll is costly to the employee and also to the business. Here's more from our Chris Cuomo.
Oh, good morning, Miranda.
You've seen it in the movies.
Pick up my shoes from Blahnik and then go get Patricia.
Who's that? Good girl! Good girl!
And according to a new survey, nearly 40% of American workers have witnessed workplace bullying in real life. Ruth was bullied at work, fought back, and was put on administrative leave.
She would follow me in the hall. She would follow me to the bathroom. It really became a large harassment.
That's when she started the Workplace Bullying Institute to get people talking.
I had no one to talk to. I had no one that understood. It goes on, but it's not recognized. People need to become aware. They need to become aware this is happening because it's kind of a silent epidemic.
72% of bullies are bosses, and women are more likely to be victims than men. But women can be bullies too, and those who are 2.5 times more likely to target their own kind over a man.
When women bully other women, they do it because these women are a threat to them.
But there's been progress. Anti-bullying legislation has been introduced in 13 states since 2003.
It is more common than sexual harassment. Bullying is not against the law, and because it's under the radar, people get away with it.
My guest is our workplace contributor, Tori Johnson. Good morning, Tori.
Good morning.
So many people are wondering, what is the difference between someone really being tough as a boss or down and out bullying?
It's an important distinction because the reality is a boss has every right to criticize your work, complain about your performance, get angry when you're repeatedly late. So those things on their own, don't constitute bullying.
Yes.
It's when, however, their words and actions of a boss, of a coworker, of anybody that you work with are intended to harm you professionally by being humiliating, embarrassing. When there's an attempt to, embarrass, humiliate, intimidate you, really with an effort to undermine or enable you to suffer professionally. So it goes beyond simply being critical of somebody. It's way beyond being critical.
But some people might not understand that distinction. They might just think that somebody's being really tough on them.
That's right.
And they might not grasp the severity of it all.
That's right. And it's often the way in which someone chooses to be tough on you.
Give us an example.
Sure. So,
Okay.
I could, for example, if I were to exclude you from an email distribution once, that's probably an oversight. I didn't mean to do it. If, however, I repeatedly exclude you from meetings, from emails, withholding information from you that I know you need in order to do your job effectively, that's a bully tactic. If we are in a meeting together and you say something, there's a couple of reactions. One is I could smirk and sort of say, unbelievable, and turn my face at you. I don't have to agree with what you say, but the way that I respond to you often determines, am I just being rude, meaning, that's not a great idea? Or if I make a smirk and say, you moron, and I, try to belittle and embarrass you, where'd you come up with that ridiculous idea? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
There's a difference. So you don't have to agree with somebody's ideas. You don't have to support their way of thinking, but the way in which you respond often is an indicator of, am I just being, rude and dismissive of you, or is it a bully tactic?
And people do this more than we think.
So much more than we think. Nearly 40% of workers say that they have been bullied. What that tells me is that's a lot of people. And it means that other people are witnessing this. And so not only are there some steps that you can take to sort of stop a bully in his or her tracks, and I say his or her because, the majority of bullies are actually women. So we tend to think of like the bully as the man.
Really?
But women are big bullies. And so, it's important that you either stop them in their tracks. And if you're somebody who is witnessing a bully, in your workplace, if there's somebody who's sort of like the office bully, and if that person typically has 1 or 2 targets that they always go after, speak up, say something. You see something, say something, help to be a part of the solution.
What happens if the bully is your manager?
If the bully's your manager, there's still a lot of very specific things that you can do, whether it's a manager or a coworker. One is, if you feel like you can maintain your composure, try to nip it on the spot. And by that, I mean when somebody starts in with you and starts saying those things, talking to you in a manner in which is just totally unacceptable, you can say, please don't speak to me that way. I am professional and cordial to you, and I expect the same in return. Most bullies bully because they can.
Yeah.
And once they're called on it, many studies show that they stop. They're embarrassed themselves to have been called on it. But if they're never called on it, they keep on doing it. And when you don't call them on it, you in many ways are giving them permission to continue doing it.
What happens if it just doesn't let up?
If it doesn't let up, which often happens,
Yes.
if it doesn't let up and you feel like you've done everything possible, you've documented it, you've talked to everybody, often at the end of the day, it means getting a new job. If you feel like your mental health and your self-esteem are in jeopardy, it's time to look for a new opportunity. It's much easier to look for a new job than it is to subject yourself every single day to that kind of torment.
And a lot of people experience this. I'm glad we're shedding some light on this, because I think this is something that even people, if they're being bullied, they don't want to talk about it.
That's right. That's right. There's, a stigma to it, because
Sure.
you worry that you're being seen as a tattletale, or you're thin-skinned, or you're being petty. And, nobody wants to be any of those things. And so you tend to think, oh, maybe it's just me. But if you sense that you're feeling that, oh, maybe it's just me, and you see that some of these symptoms that we're talking about are evident in your life, in your workplace, it's not just you. It's not just you. Don't allow yourself to feel that way and to feel like you're not worthy simply because someone else is trying to make you feel that way.
Indeed. Well, Tori, as always, we thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.